Hello, everybody, and welcome to the podcast. My name is Bree Noble, and I'm excited to be here with Amani Roberts. This is actually his second time on the podcast. Been a couple years, I think. We're actually local, but we still have never met. I've spoken to his college group at Cal State Fullerton online, but I haven't been able to make it down there yet to speak to them in person. But it's fun to be able to do these interviews. And we're going to talk about a few really important things. Number one being whether we as musicians should still be looking at getting a college degree and whether even like undergraduate, graduate, like how does it help us? Should we look at that or not in this day and age? And we're also going to talk about private gigging and associations and then his book. Like there's going to be so much fun stuff we're going to talk about. So I'm just going to jump right in. I know that since you were on here before, Amani, you probably told your original story, but maybe give them like the 1 minute Cliff Notes version. So in case they didn't hear you before.
Got it. Well, first, thank you very much for having me back again for a second time, Bree. I'm excited to chat. So much has happened since our last conversation. My quick 1 minute version would be grew up in the Washington, D.C. area, went to Howard University undergraduate, grew up working in hotels, but always had a desire to be a DJ. I saw DJ Bismarcky when I was younger, wanted to be like he was, but I did not think it was a legitimate career. Moved out to LA, then inspired myself to go learn how to DJ. Went to Scratch Academy twice, once for DJ school, once for music production. And then along the way, my business grew. I then became a professor at Cal State University Fullerton through networking and associations, which we'll talk about. And from there, I created the music business class there, the music business minder that just got launched in April of this year, and then launched my first book in April of 2020. My second book came out in February of 2025. In the middle, I went to Berklee College of Music for my master's degree. So I keep being professor. And now I'm, a DJ, professional speaker, author, all the things.
That's a lot of things.
It is a lot of things.
So for your master's degree, did you get that like in order to, just bolster your professor persona? Did you need to get that for that position?
In order for me to continue being a professor, I had to get a master's degree. And so that's why I made the decision. I chose Berklee because it was a great school and I could do it online. And so I got access to great professors and now a great alumni network too, because Berklee people are everywhere.
That is very true. I see meet Berkeley people all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's actually a really good point about sometimes you just need to get the degree in order to get the job that you want. My daughter's kind of doing that now. She's doing an online degree because she has to get this degree in order to be in the job that she wants. And, however she gets it, it doesn't matter, right? So she can do it online, she can do it from a different location,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
that works for her. I do feel like it's a little different for undergraduate, which we'll definitely get into right now. Like, I feel like, at least for me as an undergraduate, there was so much foundation that I learned as an undergraduate in music that I am so thankful that I had a full 4-year degree. Like, I needed that music development. What's your opinion on that?
I agree with you. I think nowadays, particularly because a lot of our students were in their formative years during COVID. And so that caused them to really have to adjust their learning style. So they were learning online, on Zoom. They might not have got the socialization that they needed. So if you can get to a university, even if you take classes 1 or 2 days a week in person, and maybe you have a hybrid outlook where you can take another portion of the class online, but just the relationships you make in class with your peers, just being in person, talking to people, being able to present in person, I think those are invaluable skills that a 4-year university can help you with.
Yeah, I mean, being able to present in person, that's really important. I know for me, one thing that I really learned, and this is partly because I was in a performing group with the school, but we went all over California and had to perform, and I had to learn how to speak in front of people in order to do
Yes.
that. Like each of us had to introduce a song, and that I had not had to do that before.
Yes.
Right? So some of us can perform in front of people, but ask us to introduce a song for 30 seconds and it's like, oh my God.
Exactly. And imagine, when a lot of our graduates are having to apply for jobs, you're gonna have to go in and present and pitch an idea or something. So it's
Mhm.
my responsibility as a professor to prepare you to be able to do that well so that you can exceed their expectations and you're comfortable. And I think that you really only get that being in person, practicing. We do icebreakers every week, every day. And so there's different things we could do to build on top of that so your skill set is strong when you come out.
Ooh, that's good. I like that. So you teach the music business side. What about the performing side? Do you feel like, let's just say because I get a lot of people submitting music to me like they've been performing since they were 12. They're putting out singles when they're 15. Like, do they need to go to college for the music side of this at that point if you've been performing that much? I'm just curious your opinion on that.
So if you've been performing, I think there's always opportunities for you to perform better, whether it's learning music theory, so you can fully understand music theory and what you can do, what you shouldn't do, and how to break the rules. I think there's also a different music history classes you can take that can kind of help you understand where the genre of music that you love has come from, where it's going. And I've worked with the Music Performing Arts School, so the College of Music at Fullerton, because they believe that it's really important for their performing students to at least have an introduction to the business of music, because a lot of them come out and performing have no idea about how to operate properly in this music business environment. So those are the three kind of four ways I feel that college classes can even help performers.
Well, I appreciate that you're doing that because I did not have that. I became a really good musician, and like you said, music theory. Thank
Yes.
God for music theory. Like I use it all the time now. In my church job, it's like, oh, that key doesn't work for you vocally. Let's switch it to this key, and
Yeah.
I can do that. Had
Yeah.
I not gone to school, no way. I would be like counting. I'd be like counting fingers on the piano. So that is like really, really helpful, but we didn't get, it was more of a conservatory style. Like we did
Right.
not get the business side like one iota.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
I'm so glad that you're doing that for the students.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's beneficial, and I help performers who are outside the university system too. Like I'll coach them one on one. They could be a part of my coaching program. I just think that, especially nowadays, where there's so many different revenue streams that you can have access to, but many people don't know. So it's just raising the awareness and the knowledge, and as simple as signing a split sheet to as complex as getting your neighboring rights. We can go all over the map.
Hmm. Yeah, so I mean, let's dig into that for a second because I feel like in some ways the music industry is like there's a million ways to make music, and then on one end you feel like it's impossible to, I mean, make money, and on the other end it's impossible to make money. You know what I mean? You can kind of feel that pull all the time. It's like there's so many ways I could make money, and there's so many all these revenue streams, but then when you go to try to do them, they all feel hard sometimes.
Yeah, yeah. I think they feel hard because what we see is that we see the most press and the most people talking about like streaming, like get your streams up and streaming. But in actuality, unless you're part of the top 1 or 2%, you don't really make a lot of money off of streaming. And so you really should view that as like marketing. That's like marketing, get your name out there. But what I really try to coach both my students and then my clients on is try to develop some direct fan to artist platforms where you can converse and be with your fans directly and then monetize that way. I like to follow the Kevin Kelly 1,000 true fans model. If you can get 1,000 people to spend $100 a year on your artwork, your music, that gets you up to $100,000 and you build from there. And I think that's very effective in addition to making sure you're collecting all of your royalties, whether it be through your PRO, whether through sound exchange. Like you're going to put music out and make sure if it's playing somewhere you get credit, but don't depend on that as your sole source of income.
Yeah, I mean, there are so many of those royalty things that people don't know about. The
Yes.
MLC, the neighboring rights. Like, yeah, you do kind of. Do you feel like you have to go to school to understand that stuff, or where do you send people to get an education on that?
So I send them to, where's my book here? Let's see here. I first send them to, let's get the book here. So first I tell them to read All You Need to Know About the Music Business, Donald Passman.
Oh,
And then,
that's an old school one.
yes, yes. But it's got the 11th or the 12th edition, so it's up to date. So I teach them that. Then I
Yep.
kind of, the book behind you, How to Make It in the New Music
Yep. Ari,
Business,
I
Ari
knew
Herson.
you were gonna say Ari Herskand's
Yes,
book,
yes.
which of
That's
course
like
I've
number
had him on the
two.
show before. He's
Yes.
fantastic.
That's number two. And then I'll send them to like webinars about like sound exchange, song trust, the MLC. so that they can hear different people talking about how to make it so it's not just one person telling, so they understand that. And then from there, you just practice, you study, and I send them to sign up for like a Sound Exchange, a Song Trust, the MLC, all those places so they can register their music, they understand the importance of it, and then it's just continual education. I don't think that your education ever ends. And sometimes
Mhm.
people view it like, okay, once I've done these classes or read these books, that's it. No, no, no. You must continue to attend conferences, webinars, and learn. I was just on a conference call or a webinar with the California Copyright, the CCC Association, and learn more about neighboring rights. So you're always learning.
Well, and things are changing too, right? Laws
Yes.
are changing, all that kind of stuff. So you kind of have to stay up to date.
Yeah.
But as far as like the income streams, like do you feel like I know those are important, but at first they can be really small, right? Do you think performing live is really the way to bring
That's
in money at first?
That's the way. Performing live, merchandise, number one, number two. That's the
Yep.
way. Just touring, live touring. You got a gig. It's kind of a grind, but just keep touring, keep touring. But while you're touring, while you're performing live, you need to grow your email list. Like start to collect people's emails and cell phone numbers now. Like, try to get them so that you can then create your super fans. I think people perform and forget about putting up a QR code or having an email sign up sheet. But the first time you gig, just start to collect email list and it'll continue to duplicate. And that's where the gold is, in my opinion.
Yeah, no, we're totally speaking the same language for sure. I'm definitely I've always talked about the 1,000 true fans and the email list and all that stuff. So we're definitely on the same. I guess I could teach a college class. We're on the same
You, you,
page.
you can come in. Yes, yes, I'm sure you could. I really
Yes.
believe you
I
could.
know
You can
last
come
time
take.
I talked to your class about income streams, but yeah,
Yeah.
like this is all it's all very basic, but I also feel like most artists don't do it.
Amen. Like it's not that complex and it's basic, but most people don't do it and aren't aware and have but then when it comes time a year or two or three later where they're like, well, why am I not getting this money? Well, why did I sign this contract? I signed it and I did this song with this producer, yet I'm not getting my royalties. Well, did you sign a split sheet? Did you do this? Did you do that?
Mhm.
They're like, no. Well, it's the basics that you need to implement from here on out.
Yeah, or then you get a what's a split sheet? Yeah, then you're like, oh
Oh, yes.
man.
Yes, that makes me sad. So
We're
then
in
I say,
trouble.
no, look at this real quick and do this. Yes, yes, you're right though. And you would be surprised. Some very, very talented, well-known people still don't put this into practice.
Yep. Yeah, I know. And part of it is they just don't want to. I mean,
No,
they want to, but they don't want to do it because they hate that stuff.
I
And they
know.
just kind of bury their head in the sand. And they're like, someone's going to come along when I get famous enough. I'm going to get a manager. They're going to handle all this stuff.
No, but to get the manager, you need to handle this stuff in the beginning. You got
Not
to do it
only
in
that, but
reverse.
you got to know what the manager's doing
Yes,
because they might not be
yes,
doing the right things.
yes. We're speaking the same language. You are preaching to the choir. Yes.
Yes, for sure. Well, okay, so I want to jump into something you said in the beginning about how I think you said you got the job that you have through working with associations. So I think a lot of musicians don't know about associations and how to get involved with those.
Okay, so I got my job at Fullerton because I was a volunteer with Meeting Professionals International. It's the Southern California chapter. And so they're predominantly made up of people who are planning meetings and events who can hire us. They can hire us to perform. And so I was a volunteer spreading the word about my DJ business. Eventually I got to be on the board. They asked me to come on the board, so then I was helping plan the strategy and direction of the association. I was given a task of trying to grow student membership. So I went to Cal State University Fullerton, Long Beach, Poly Pomona, Northridge, UNLV, and TESOL, the International School of Hospitality in Vegas. And I was just recruiting student members. I got a couple classroom visits at Fullerton. They went well. They asked me to come back and help them for a spring event to help them plan and get some guest speakers. I did that. And then over the summer, I was volunteering at a DJ camp for kids. I get an email says we have a professor that retired suddenly. We're looking to fill these two classes. Would you be interested? We feel that your experience would be a good match. And as a creative, a DJ, a musician, we're always looking to kind of diversify our income. So I said yes. I actually applied. They did the background check. A week before the semester was going to start, they said, "Okay, you're in." And that was 7 years ago.
Was
And
that stressful? Like you don't have a
yes,
syllabus or anything?
yes, they gave me a sample syllabus. They gave me a sample exam, but I had to do it all on my own. I had never taught at the college or high school level, but I got through, and I ended up loving it. I love teaching. It's one of my favorite things I do. And I learned as much from the students as they learned from me. That's how I got the job, but that's just association. So even if we're musicians in there in your audience, in your community, you don't have to go be a professor, but you can join an association and volunteer. And a lot of associations, they have meetings. They have meetings during the day, they have banquets at night. You can volunteer your services to be a singer or a performer during the pre meeting or post meeting or during the event. And then you're going to get exposure. You're going to meet people that can hire you. And it seems very simple, but people just don't realize the connection. Like there are event planners for major companies,
Mhm.
Mattel, Northrop Grumman. They have to plan events where they need entertainment. If they've met you at an event, you're going to be their first call. And I think that that's just a underutilized form of networking that can help musicians build their gig repertoire so they're not always dependent on clubs and being like the late night gigs.
For sure. I mean, I think those are really the desirable gigs, right? Like I'd love to and especially if you've got more to offer than just music. Like when I was performing all the time, I had a keynote concert that I did where I was speaking and singing.
Yes.
And so
Exactly.
that opens the door, you know?
hmm Yeah, and there's chapters all over the world. And once you get connected to the local chapter, like I'm a member of the Southern California chapter. I was actually chapter president, but then you can go and speak and perform at the Midwest chapter in Chicago, Northern California and San Francisco. But then eventually you can tap into the power of the global events, like it's called MPI World Education Congress. Once a year, this past year is in St. Louis. Because I'm so ingrained in the MPI and they know me, they asked me to be the host for their digital broadcast. One year they asked me to perform and DJ for one of their big banquets. So it just builds on top of that. And there are other associations like you have MPI, you have SITE, Society of Incentive Travel Executives, PCMA, Professional Conference Managers Association, and then ASE. There's lots of different associations that are focused on meetings and events where you can go and meet people and show your services.
Yeah, and I would say there are lots of other associations or networks like this that you might not even think about that I tapped into when I was performing. I was looking to perform to women.
hmm
And so I tapped into things like the what are they called? Federation of Women International, I think it is, and they had like one in every city.
Yeah.
In Southern California, like there was one in every city. I don't know if there still is. But they met once a month and they needed a program. Or I got connected into the Christian Women's Connection because I did some Christian music. And so then I went to Christian Women's Connection in Oregon even. I did the ones in California and because they're all over. Or,
Yes.
mothers or preschoolers, like these are things I tapped into and I kind of fell into them in that like I found one locally and then I was like, I wonder if there's more of these. And I look up the website and like, oh my gosh, they're everywhere. And so, then you start kind of looking into it and that's where it'll like open up all these other
Yes.
markets.
Yes, because once you perform and work with one, then they're going to refer you to their other chapters also, and people will see, and it just kind of spreads like wildfire. And I just think that's an underutilized way of earning work and networking that we should be better at as musicians.
Yeah, so you think for them, they've never gotten involved in these, just go to the website. Like, how do they get their foot in the door?
So I would say go to the website. For example, you can go to like mpiscc.org. That's MPI Southern California. See when their events are. Then you can register for an event, attend an event, and just kind of meet some people. People will greet you there, look around, and then you can ask, are there any like sponsorship opportunities? I'm a musician. I'd love to offer my service in exchange for maybe your logo is on the program. Maybe you get to speak about two minutes before a meeting about what you offer. That's very valuable because then you're promoting yourself on stage, you're performing after the event, so people kind of get you twice, and then you just rinse and repeat that strategy for all the functions. Wherever you're living, you can look it up on the website. MPI chapter in Dallas, Texas, MPI chapter in Atlanta, PCMA chapter in Chicago, and just follow the breadcrumbs.
Yeah, and I think even if you go even more local than that, like we could be getting together with our Chamber of Commerce, and they
Yes.
have a meeting once a month usually. Like you could say, like, hey, while everybody's eating their breakfast, I could, do a little music.
Yes. Yes. And it just starts from there, and then people see you. You get testimonials. Make sure you get video. Also, while you're there at these events, if people show your QR code so they can sign up for your email list. Just little things you can do to just grow. It's like you're growing your own machine slowly but surely.
I love that. I love those ideas. And that's something we really, I mean, I've mentioned these women's things on here before because it was my experience, but I had not experienced these planner events, which, man, that's like
Yes,
a gold mine.
it is, and it's
Right? It's just
underutilized.
like you can
Yes.
also do that for weddings, right? There's like wedding planner
WIPA.
events.
Yeah,
Yep.
WIPA is the name of the association. Yeah, you go to your local WIPA chapter. Exactly.
Yeah, so many options. Well, let's absolutely shift gears because I want to talk about your book. And we talked
Yes.
before we started recording about how I'm like this like music trivia nut.
Yes.
I love like pop music trivia.
Okay.
And I one of my favorite YouTube channels, I watch it every day, is called Professor of Rock. I don't know if you're familiar with him,
Okay.
but he's
Okay.
fabulous.
All right. All right.
So
So,
I'm ready. So
okay, we got
I
some
know
trivia.
your book is about R&B groups, and I'm like that's probably my weakest
Yes.
point.
Yes.
But
Here's the book right here. So it's called The Quiet Storm: A Historical and Cultural Analysis of the Power, Passion, and Pain of R&B Groups. To go back to we were talking about school, this was my thesis at Berklee College of Music for my master's degree, and I
first of
turned it
all, I
into a
gotta
book.
say I love your alliteration in the title. Love it.
Thank you. Yes, yes, you got it. I love it. Thank you. So here's the first trivia question,
Okay.
and I think you'll get this one. There are two female groups in history so far that have had diamond sales for their album in history. Which two groups are those? Now, if you need a clue, I can help you.
Okay, the Supremes. Is
No,
that one of
that's
them?
a surprising, but no, they came
It's
after the
not?
Supremes. It's not the Supremes. Surprisingly, that's a common guess.
What?
I know it's a common guess. Let me give so one genre is country, one genre is like R&B, hip hop, kind of mixed in between.
Okay, TLC
Exactly. Yes, TLC is number
and
one.
Dixie Chicks?
Yes, those are the
Okay.
two right there. So you
Okay.
got them. So in the book, I talk about TLC, and really, if I'm being honest, like if I were to write a third book, I'd love to write a book about the life and times of TLC because they are the poster child for what can go right in the industry and what can go wrong in the industry, the ups
Yep.
and downs. And
Yep.
so
So true.
it's just they had a diamond. They were the first female group. They were before the Dixie Chicks, the Chicks when they changed their name. So they had 10 million album sales or more. So I talk about the Supremes you mentioned. Like each decade, I go through the top 10 or 11 R&B groups in history based on record sales, Grammy nominations and wins, Billboard Hot 100 hits, and notable performances. And so you take that through each decade, the 50s to the mid 2000s. So let's give you another trivia.
Okay.
There is one, only one male R&B group that has had diamond sales for an album. Which group would that be? And I can give you a clue if you want one. They're originated from the East Coast.
Boys to
And
Men.
there you go. Boys to Men. Boys to
Yeah.
Men.
I
So
was
they
gonna
were
say Boys to Men, but I'm like, oh, could it be? Is it the Temptations?
see, most people think it's the Temptations and
Yeah.
that. So of course, there's a chapter on Boys to Men in here, the chapter on the Temptations, and so it's about 80% just facts about groups, their story of origin, how they reached their peaks, why they broke up, their top
Okay,
10
first of
hits.
all, is it true that they were singing in a bathroom or something? That's what I've heard, that they someone heard them singing in a bathroom.
That's part of the lore of them. So that was probably true. I didn't cover that in the book, but I
Ah,
think that is true. But yes, the book kind of starts when they Michael Bivins was at a New Edition show and they got backstage and were able to sing for him, and then he signed him. That's kind of the story. They went
mm,
to a performing arts school in Philadelphia. So yes, all right. So there's more trivia.
okay.
Okay, this one's a little harder. There's one group in history, R&B group in history, that has had hits in every decade from the 50s all the way through the 2000s. So that's like 50s,
Oh,
60s, 70s,
wow.
80s, 90s, and 2000s. They've had a Billboard Hot 100 hit in every decade. Which group is that? And so I'll give you a clue. Their
Okay.
first hit was in 1959, and the song that they sang was called Shout.
I was gonna say the Isley Brothers. Okay,
Yes,
I was
yes,
right.
yes,
I was
yes,
like
you
too
were
afraid
right.
to say it
Don't
because
be afraid. Don't be
I didn't
afraid.
know if
Don't.
they had a 2000s hit.
Yes. So actually, in 2000s, they had a big hit with Shantae Moore and R. Kelly called "Contagious," and that
Oh,
was their big hit
yes.
then.
Okay.
Yes. So that's I have let me see. Okay, so another story is that you happen to know the story of so do you know Gladys Knight and the Pips? You familiar
Mm-hmm.
with them? What
Yep.
is like your favorite one of their most famous songs was what comes to mind?
Train to Georgia.
Okay, here we
Okay.
go. So you got that one. So this is how that song came to be. They were working with the producer. I have to look up his name. I forgot his name. And he was friends and played flag football with the $6 million man. $6 million man's name was, oh, what's his name? Oh, hold on. Let's look. We have to look up his name.
I
Who was
only
the
know
six?
the character's name.
Yeah. What
Steve
was the second?
Austin.
Yeah, yeah. The $6 million.
Oh,
Okay.
Lee Majors,
Lee
is that his name?
Majors.
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah,
yes.
okay.
Steve Austin, which is his name. Good, really good call there. Wow.
Ah.
You're the first person that's actually used his character's name in the show. So if you remember, Lee Majors was dating Farrah Fawcett back in
Right.
the day. So the producer calls up Lee Majors, but Farrah Fawcett answers the phone. So they're talking, and then he says, "Well, what are you up to this weekend? You know, what's going on?" She said, "Well, I'm headed to visit my family in Texas. I'm taking a midnight plane to Texas."
Oh,
He took midnight plane to Texas, flipped it to midnight train to Georgia, gave the song to Cissy Houston, who sang it as a country song.
oh,
It didn't do as big as it could have, and then Gladys Knight and the Pips remade it, and it's one of the top 100 best songs in U.S. history, in
that's
music
awesome.
history, actually.
I
So
love
that's
that
another
song.
fun story.
It's a
Yeah,
great
that's
song.
a fun story there. So that's
That
just a
is.
few of the stories that are in the book. Some good trivia. You did really well, though. Props to you.
Thank you. Like I said, I've kind of known in circles as the,
I love it.
pop trivia person.
You're on my team. You're on my team when I go to trivia.
Let's do Family Feud or something.
Let's
Yeah.
do it. Yes. So that's the book. In the end, I just share the research about what happened to R&B groups, why did they disappear, and what could happen next.
So you feel like they disappeared?
Groups, yes. Genre, no. So the genre is alive and well. But you'll notice that there was a time period in history, it's like a month, July 1997, when 14 of the top 20 Billboard Hot 100 songs were by R&B groups.
Yep.
Within a decade, it had flipped so that 12 of the top 20 songs in July of 2007 were hip hop artists. And
Mm.
once Beyonce and Destiny's Child all went solo, the groups fell out of the top 10 because they used to dominate and have number one number songs. That has yet to go back to that level since.
So interesting. Yeah, I'm really curious as to why that is.
Yeah, yeah. Well, it's in the book. I'll send you a copy of the book so you can
Well,
look
and
through
it's
it too.
going to come back too, I think, because I mean, everything is cyclical, right? Because I just saw that like last week was the first week in since 1990 that there were no hip hop songs in the top 40 or something like
Yes.
that, right?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. That was crazy. Yeah.
That's super
And
interesting.
a good sign is that there's a group out of the UK called Flow, R&B group FLO, and they got nominated for at least one, if not two Grammys. That's a great sign. So I think that's
Mm,
a great sign that, and I hope they come back too. Because remember we had Anderson .Paak and Bruno Mars, Silk Sonic. They kind of came back quickly, had one album, lots of Grammy nominations and wins and sales, but then they didn't do another album because they have creative differences.
mm.
Whereas back in the day, TLC had like four or five like strong albums. SWV had like four or five strong albums. In Vogue, all
Yeah,
these groups had like
there was so
decades of
many
hits.
in the
Yes,
90s. I mean,
yes. Oh,
Jay,
yes.
yeah,
Don't
like,
walk away.
yep. There's just a lot of groups,
Yeah, yeah.
and
And now,
there is.
music industry saving money. It's less expensive to have singular artists. You don't have to worry
Yep.
about choreography, promotion, makeup, etc. They're easier to control, singular artists too. So
So
it's
there
a whole
are
lot better.
groups. I mean, my daughter is very into Cat's Eye,
Yes.
right? And
Okay.
they're kind of like multi-genre.
Yes, but that's a K-pop group, right?
Yes.
Okay, so K-pop, I'm glad you said that because K-pop is still proving that the group concept works. So what are they doing that we, when I say we, I'm talking about the R&B groups community can emulate? Because if you look at a BTS video and look how their blueprint was exactly like New Edition. You
Hmm.
look at Blackpink, they followed the TLC blueprint to a T. So they're using what helped the R&B groups of the US work well, but they flipped it so it works well in this era. What can we learn from them?
Hmm. Super interesting. I think it's going to be your next book.
No pressure, right? No
All
pressure.
right. Yeah, the next book
You-
is on K-pop. I'm ready
yes.
for it.
Okay.
That's cool. Well, thank you so much. This has been so great. It's been super fun. I love the trivia, but I also love everything that you shared earlier that's going to be really helpful for musicians, especially all the stuff about associations. You guys go look for those associations. It's going to be so helpful for you to expand your network and find new places to gig in new areas. So
Yes.
thank you so much, Amani. I really appreciate it. I was glad to hang with you again, and hopefully we'll see each other again soon.
Absolutely. Thank you very much for having me, Bree, and I'm excited to keep the conversation going.
Yes. Oh, and by the way, so can they find that book on Amazon? Where do they find it?
Okay. I'll tell you where to find it. So you can go to Amazon, The Quiet Storm, look up Amani, or you go to my website, which is amaniexperience.com. They can do that. They can also text news, NEWS, to 301 638 8749, and that will get you to me. And I also send out updates of the most popular music business news of the week, twice a week. So I get you on that list, but then you can get the book that way too.
I love it. I love it. You're practicing what you preach.
Yes, yes, I am.
A machine in play. So that's
Yes, yes.
awesome. Well, thank you so much.
I appreciate it. Thank you.